problem, and guess what? You need to fix them. Fix him, fix her, because I don't want to keep coming here. So fix this and fix it quick, so that so that DJJ goes away and whoever else gets out of my life, because it's inconvenient for me as a parent to have this going on. So what message then are we sending to our kids? That's re-traumatizing to our kids, because they're constantly getting that reinforced message. There is something wrong with you, and they're being told that by school, by parents, by community, by everybody. And they're generally, there's not anything wrong with them. They're kids who just need a little bit of guidance. So a lot of times one of the things that I have to do is I have to meet with them and find out, where are you struggling? And then we work on that, because usually nobody's listening to them. Everybody's just telling them, this is what's wrong with you. You have a drug problem. You have an anger management problem. You have some sort of mood problem. And maybe they just have a problem of they're a teenager and they're struggling. Or maybe the problem is something else going on in the household that nobody's really figured out yet. So we just have to really build those relationships with our kids and listen to them, because nobody ever really wants to listen to them. And like Jason down there said, it's a lot of rapport building. Everybody, Psychology 101, unconditional positive regard. We have to have that for our kids. We have to have that for their parents. I think a lot of times, sometimes I am guilty of giving parents a bad rap, because a lot of times they are really kind of coming in and blaming stuff on one particular kid when it's a bigger family systems issue. But I think a lot of times our parents are struggling too. And we need to put a lot of services in and a lot of support in for the families. And rather than just focusing on one particular kid.
Thank you. All right, LaSharice, you're the delegate. What answers you got? What you got for this?
Thank you, Cassandra. I think I will add from the perspective of working with the parents. And in my role as the delegate, oftentimes I am sort of a liaison for when they have troubles with state agencies, or they're at the point of crisis because they've tried everything on their own and now they're looking for someone else to turn to. Several weeks ago, I had taken a visit to the Lafayette House here in Petersburg, and I met this woman. She had recently relocated here from another state, and she said she needed my help and that she would get in contact with me because she was having this problem with her son who was receiving dialysis. Well, when she contacted me, she said she had been informed that her son would no longer be able to receive this dialysis and that there was nothing that anyone could do for her. So I'm a delegate, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really horrible, but this woman is currently at the point where this is her son's life that's on the line, and she has exhausted all options that she thought she had. So I told her I would get back to her and I would try and find out as much information as I could. But in the meanwhile, she began to send me messages that were very erratic. She was frustrated, she was upset, and sort of lashing out on me. And when you talk about dealing with someone in trauma, especially that in some instances they don't know what they don't know. All they've ever been exposed to is hardship or poverty or having gone without. You can't respond to that person in the way that they're interacting with you. And so one of the ways I feel like you have to handle individuals who sort of are dealing with trauma, monitor your own demeanor, number one, because those triggers that we are talking about, you could further send that person into trauma. You could further make that situation worse. And so you cannot respond in the way that they are interacting with you. And secondly, really this was a matter of trust. You have to take the time to build the trust. If all they know is that along the cycle that individuals have not been able to be relied upon, that there has been no one who could be there for them. They don't have trust in you, and you can break what they are experiencing at that moment or even long term just by showing up and being there to try and build that trust with them. So for this woman, what we did was we had to try and figure out what was going on with her son's insurance. And so you can send someone on the way and refer them and tell them, we'll go and visit this office and talk with that person. But at this point, we needed to literally go with her to get the answer for her because she had tried to do that on her own. And so from the perspective of no one had ever gone to that length for her before, it's about trying to break the cycle of what they are used to. So communication in dealing with that person, your own personal demeanor, and meeting them where they are. Instead of trying to say, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that, understand that they might not know and they need your help along the way. And so whenever I'm dealing with parents and or kids, I'm accountable for how I interact with them and really try and build that cycle of what they are accustomed to and what they are used to, and showing them that there is someone who cares. There is actions that we can take to show you different, especially when they are unfamiliar with what that looks and feels like.
Then you bring up an interesting point as well, that you could further send you. We're there. I feel good about that, honestly. But trauma isn't something that in organizations that we talk about or at home. It's something that we really colleagues, friends who are traumatized, and you have them working with the kids. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm getting snaps on that one. All right. So I'm sure that's a sensitive issue. If you haven't dealt with that, how would you? If you have dealt with that, all right, Jason, take that mic. Because wouldn't that counteract all of the work that you're doing with that kid or in your office? Jason.
All right, so one of the greatest things that you have is you have to come from a place of understanding. That's the main thing, a place of understanding. And you have to realize that so many things are not reported. So many things are not reported. I need those babies to walk into your office so y'all can work with them. Now, how afraid would some of these kids be if they did a robbery before? If they shot somebody before? If they killed somebody before? If their friend was murdered before and they have this rage in them and they've taken someone's life? Now, you have someone that's severely traumatized on the streets. He wants help. But how you think he's going to walk in your office and seek it? He's not. She's not. So this is the problem that we're facing. I realized that I'm no longer going to sit on the desk and wait. I'm going to go out there and get him. That was the main thing. I had to go out there and get him. I had to go to the basketball court. I had to go to the baseball field. I had to go, and talk to these young men, these young women on their turf. So what happens is, I don't expect a police officer to do it because they're not going to do it. They can't do it. I have to meet some of these kids on a rooftop and they're carrying guns because they're in the middle of a war. Mm-hmm. But when I'm talking to him, I can tell him, give me the gun. He's going to listen to me because I built that rapport with him. Mm-hmm. This is how we help each other. Yep. This is how police and this gang member will help, because the last thing I want is for a police officer to take somebody's life because he's traumatized. Mm-hmm. That kid's traumatized, the family's traumatized, the community's traumatized. So we don't want it. Nobody wants to get shot and nobody wants to shoot anybody. So what we're doing is actually teaching some of these kids how to redirect that anger, because a lot of it's misplaced anger. Yep. That's what mine was. I hated my father so much because he gave my mother speed knots, black eyes, busted lips, smacked her across the room, beat me up all the time. Wake me up in the middle of the night because I didn't do my homework, but it was Saturday. But he was so high, he was whipping my ass for something that he thought happened, but that happened 2 weeks ago. I was a confused little boy. All of the time. Not some, all of the time. I couldn't understand why I loved my mother so much. I adored my father. I couldn't understand why she still loved him. How do you let someone choke you out, pour beer in your face, calling you black, ugly bitch, this is why I cheat? And you lay down with him? This is why I crossed over and went to a whole nother land. 8, 9, 10 years old, I started self-mutilating. I'm burning myself on the stove. I'm putting my fingers in water and I'm shocking myself on outlets. I'm biting myself until I bleed. This is at 8, 9, and 10 years old. Because I couldn't understand for dear life what the hell was going on in my house. My father used to catch seizures. One time he put a violent seizure. I'm watching it. That's traumatizing in itself. But the thing that was twisted about it was I went through so much mental anguish and hell in my household that when I was looking at him, I wanted him to die. So what I did was I woke my mother up because I thought I could share this with her. I wanted to share his death with her. We about to get rescued, Mom. He's about to die. She called the ambulance and saved this man. I was completely gone and confused. I needed a doctor a long time ago.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a place of understanding when I'm talking to these kids because guess what? The neighborhoods that we were from, gunshots went off. People have been shot in front of us. I remember how the hallway lights used to look when it was dim. Guess what? 9 times out of 10, you about to get robbed in your own building. They were traumatized before they went to school. So guess what? When you say that this kid is bad, he got ADHD and all this other stuff like that, you might be technically wrong.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
He's going through some other stuff in the house. I do not expect a 6 or 7-year-old little girl to know where 2 plus 2 is in the 1st grade or the 2nd grade if her uncle was raising his hand up her skirt.
Yep.
That's real.
She's not going to know how to concentrate. He's not going to know how to read.
Mm-hmm.
I had to block all of them things out when I was going to school and actually go through my work because I knew education was key. I knew that. But I was going to use my education to tear this world a new asshole. That's what I knew. That's what I knew. I was not confused about that. Not for one bit. So, part of the answer that everyone is thinking about is you have to go out there and seek some of these trauma victims because those trauma victims will reproduce other trauma victims. They will. They're not going to stop, having sex. They have kids. They raise kids. And one thing I learned was trauma manifests itself into all kinds of different things. This is a fact because we all went to school and we learned this. Some of us are in that field. And what happens when someone is traumatized and they reproduce, they end up sharing that pain with their child, and their child grows up the wrong way, doing the wrong things because that one person was traumatized, and that cycle continues on and on. I hated my father because he did drugs, and I hated him so much, I needed somebody to teach me what forgiveness was. They didn't teach me, so you know what happened? I ended up being an abusive person, verbally, mentally. I did drugs, just like my father. I was diagnosed with arthritis at the age of 15. I did not know that I was getting opiates and steroids at the age of 15. So by the time I got to 19 years old, I forgot my medicine one time. I was sick as a dog. You know why? Because I was going through withdrawals. I used to get angry if I didn't have my medication in my system. But think about all the traumas that I've been through. Think about when I got introduced to gangbanging at the age of 16, and I went from losing maybe 1 or 2 friends a year to losing like damn near 15, 20 friends per year. Mine is gone. Understand, this is the kids that you gotta save. Mine is gone. Heart is black. You can't just sit in the desk and go home and not do anything. That's not acceptable, and it won't work. Because guess what? I also went to college.
That's right.
With him and my mom. Right next to him.
Jason, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, you're 36. So with the story that you have, there are other people your age or younger who are working in the juvenile system or adult system that have these stories.
You do too.
But they're not telling people. But they're working with the kids. But they have these stories.
But you do too.
So what suggestion would you give to all of the colleagues and employees here or employees here? How do you help your fellow colleagues come to a place of understanding when they may not want to admit it to themselves?
A lot of that is not their fault. A lot of it is they're afraid because the policies are not in place to allow them to do that. One of the first things we taught in training was never get personal. Boundary issues. That's the first thing they was teaching us. But I kind of came in a different kind of route because I had a Class A felony. I'm not supposed to be working with kids, but I've been doing so much great work around the country that I got a letter of recommendation from Susan Taylor, Terry Williams, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and a couple of mayors. And guess what? They had no choice but to, let me in because I got recommendations from these people. So I have a Class A felony and I'm working right with your kids. How funny is that? But guess what? I also wear scars. I bear my scars. I don't cover it up. When they ask me, like, what's that? Are you in a gang? I tell them, yeah, I'm in a gang. Why? Are you in a gang? And then they think it's cool. Yeah, I'm in a gang. What gang you in? Doesn't matter if you're opposite or not. But then I explained to them, someone lied to me. Someone told me that this was cool. Someone told me that this was love, but they lied to me, just like they lied to you. And then that smile starts to become a frown. And I have to explain to them that I got my lip bit off and 3 teeth bit out my mouth at college. Stabbed in my eardrum, stabbed in the back of the calf in college. Had to watch my best friend die. Got shot in the top of the head by another friend of mine, and then he went home and hung himself. I got caught with a dead body in college.
Wow.
That was nothing in a dorm room.
Wow.
When I came to college, I was shooting off guns inside of the dorm room because I didn't understand what life was because of my upbringing. Please, please understand that I'm not a rare case. I'm not the only one walking these streets. Believe me, I'm not. Believe me, I'm not. And despite what most people might think, not all gang members are bad. A lot of them are forced into that lifestyle because of the conditions of where they live, disparity and all kinds of stuff going on, poverty and all kinds of stuff going on. It's only about 10 to 15% of gang members that even commit violent crimes. Listen to what I'm telling you. So when you lock people up and you just throw away the key, you are reproducing monsters. Not violent crime. You stick somebody in prison. Guess what happened in prison? Violence.
That's right.
If you don't want to get hurt, guess what? You adapt to violence. And if you adapt to that long enough, you're traumatized, your mind changes and alters. Everything is you have to be on a defense mechanism. So guess what? He comes home, he's paroled to your house.
Wow.
But that's not your nephew anymore.
That's right.
We have to change. I'm called a credible messenger. This is something that came down from Chicago. It's used all across the country and the world. Me and my partner, Dr. Lisa Chadwick, we just came back from Belize. Bloods and Crips out there in Belize. Guess where the Bloods and Crips came from? United States. They learned they came from Belize, thought it was a better life in the United States, got turned out, became Bloods and Crips, went to jail, and we deported them back to Belize so they can reproduce in Belize. Now, the structure of Belize is different. They're using artillery that's from the military. Before we came out there, a 4-year-old just died because somebody threw a grenade. A grenade. I don't have no gun. I don't have no bulletproof vest. I don't have no protection. We went into those trenches and told those babies, I love you. Put it down for me. I came all the way from Harlem, United States. I need you to stop. I'm begging you to stop. I might have cried 1,000 times while I was out there, but they needed to know, guess what? I'm a real one. I'm a gangster. They know my record, they know my rapport, and I'm telling you, as a gangster, I need you to put that gun down. I need you to talk to my fellow panelists because they can help you. I put that on me, you're not gonna get in trouble, and that's how it works. We bridge the gap amongst us.
Right. We have a few minutes for questions, but you know, what you have up here is honesty and credibility. And if I don't say anything else the rest of the day, everything that you learn here, everything you may decide to do here, if you go out from here and you do it with hypocrisy, then you wasted your time. You wasted your time. You've got to come to a place of understanding with yourself. Perhaps that transformational learning needs to start with you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that's the common thread I'm hearing from everybody up here. Because you all are the ones working with the kids. And the first ones who can spot hypocrisy is a child. Right? And once that child sees that you are going to disappoint him or her, you have lost him or her. Isn't that what you're hearing up here? Yes. So with that, we have a few minutes. I know some people look at their watch. Okay, I understand. Clock in the back.